What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
HBO has a new series out now called Euphoria. The first episode is out, but I believe as I'm recording this on Sunday, a new episode drops, episode 2. I've only seen the first episode via a HBO subscription through Amazon Prime. Just happened to be scrolling through, and I think I actually heard Devendra Hardawar on the Slash Filmcast recommend it. He said he watched the first episode on a recent episode of the Slash Filmcast, probably last week's episode. So I decided to check it out. He had compared it to Kids, which is a movie by Harmony Korine many, many years ago. Very raw and real look at inner city kids, I believe in New York, kind of the degenerate side of where you can go. I would also compare in a similar way the 90s movie that came out last year, this past year. But Euphoria, starring Zendaya, who I first heard of or saw her, or she first came onto my radar in being in the newest Disney versions of Spider-Man Homecoming. And then the next Spider-Man movie that's coming out pretty soon this summer, she's in that as well. She plays I think the MJ kind of character in that series. But this one, it starts off, she's born a few days after 9/11. And like after the towers crashed, so while she was in the hospital, her parents were in the hospital with her after her birth. That's all they watched over and over again was news coverage of the towers falling as she grew up. As many kids seem to happen, it seems to be a trend anyway in kids. Like that, she's having some problems adjusting as a child, so they take her to get diagnosed, see if there's anything wrong. And she's got all the classic symptoms of being a kid, all of the ADHDs and PTSDs and OCDs and all the different kind of things that you could be put on medication for. So she plays a high school student. It follows a bunch of high school kids. It actually kind of reminded me a lot of the UK show Skins. I know they brought it over to MTV. I don't know how long it lasted on MTV. Didn't try and even watch that version of the show. But the UK version of the show, which followed a group of high school kids through 2 years, and then they would reboot the cast, basically. Like it just followed these kids that were going through this school in the UK. And it showed, and they were like party kids, and they were like, it showed you very similar to Kids, the movie. It showed you what the reality can be like for a lot of kids that just have the ability that are just kind of on their own, experiencing life for the first time, and really going out there into what, partying and drugs and sex and all the different things. So this movie, Euphoria, is more of the modern take on it, obviously. So you get to see the interesting social media aspect, how that plays into just modern day relationships, especially in high school, similar to how that was similarly explored in Booksmart. So it has that. It has also a trans female character in this, which is somebody who she's kind of the opposite character, the love interest in a way, or friend interest, I don't know, to Zendaya. She's a character that moved into town from a big city, and they're in more of a small town, and kind of the outcasts of school, as it were. This movie is directed by the same guy, or directed by Sam Levinson, that he also wrote Assassination Nation, which is an interesting movie. You don't hear anybody talk about it. It came out within the past year about high school kids. Like somebody started hacking teachers and principals' accounts, their phones, and releasing all the dirty shit that human beings are into, and that end up collecting residue on their phones. Naked pictures, porn searches, all kinds of different shit that everybody has access to doing in their life. It started getting leaked into society, and certain people started getting blamed. The women started getting blamed, and it was super interesting movie, Assassination Nation. I think it's I don't want to say it's ahead of its time. I think it's of its time. I just think people haven't discovered it yet. I don't know. Hopefully, it gets on Netflix or something where people can finally watch it. But this movie or the show has a lot of that flavor into it as well, because that was very much a real look at what life is like as a teenager using social media. But yeah, Euphoria, only the first episode. It's shot beautifully. This first episode is shot like an amazing independent film. Like this, they could have just had this first episode, and it could have just been like maybe stretch it out 30 more minutes, and you have like an amazing independent film. Just like visually directed in a way that you don't see TV shows directed. I mean, they're doing a lot more single camera shows. I mean, that's definitely more dramatic shows and more tapping into the raw nature of what is real in our world, and not focusing on the fairy tale kind of storytelling portrayal of what's going on with high school students. But yeah, I thought, like, I'm so curious to see if this show is able to maintain its aesthetic quality throughout, which I would imagine they filmed everything, the full season, all 8 episodes together. I think it's all written by the same person. Generally, they will maintain a similar feel across the season. So I'm not too worried about there being a drop-off. I'm almost worried that of the what happened with The Walking Dead, like, through the first season. Like, it just went to shit, but then picked back up. But this one, not related at all to The Walking Dead, but that's just one of those cautionary tales of a good show that starts off super strong and has a very cinematic feel, but then by the end of the season, it's just like it's just like bad TV making. It wasn't even good filmmaking. It was just bad TV making. But I'm super interested in Euphoria. Highly recommend you check it out. And if it's something that you're interested in, I recommend checking out Kids by Harmony Korine. I recommend checking out the original Skins, Skins, it's spelled Skins, on the UK version. And then I also recommend checking out Assassination Nation. All 3 of those kind of properties are very reminiscent of the tone and style of this movie, and just kind of the heart that you get in it. But I super interested, super interesting to see where this whole thing goes, and following all these kids and how everything's intertwined. It's just a crazy start to a show that I'm already addicted to. Euphoria on HBO. Check it out. New episodes of this show come out every day. Subscribe on IGTV and everywhere else podcasts are found. Go to inspireddisorder.com for all of my original artwork. Go buy some paintings now and save 10% when you use coupon code INSPIRED at checkout. At Ray Taylor for me on all social media. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Peace out!